cut the magical hair of her twin sister out of jealousy. What happened to her will shock you. For 10 years, Isabella's life was a mixture of sweetness and deafening pain. The whole village knew her goodness. She was one of those women whose smile seemed to soothe the most tormented hearts. But behind this facade of peace, a shadow grew. Married to Karim, she had never been able to conceive. At first, love carried their home. Karim was patient, almost protective. He held her hand during the nights of doubt, murmuring that heaven would eventually grant them this precious gift. They prayed together, sharing the hope that every new month would be the right one. Yet, time is a merciless eroder. After 3 years, Karim's patience evaporated to give way to a devouring bitterness. The benevolent silence of the house became heavy, full of unsaid reproaches, which eventually burst out in anger. One evening, without warning, Karim gathered his meager possessions. His gaze had become cold, strange. He declared that he could no longer waste his existence with a sterile woman. He wanted a line, a proof of his virility, and he had already sought it and found it elsewhere, in a neighboring village. Isabella, broken, threw herself on his knees. She knew for her infidelities, but she was stunned, hoping that a child would repair the cracks in their union. Her pleas did not change anything. Karim crossed the threshold, leaving her alone with his emptiness and despair, while the rumors of the village were already starting to bury her alive under their murmurs. After Karim's departure, Isabella was no longer than the shadow of herself. The house, once warm, resembled a tomb. She stopped laughing, avoiding the compassionate looks or mockeries of the villagers who jazzed about her fate. To survive, she turned to the forest. Every morning, she plunged deeply into the woods with her machete and rope to pick up wood for heating. The forest became her only confidant, the only place where she did not need to find strength. The work was exhausting, but the physical pain helped her, for a while, to forget that of her soul. One afternoon, the fatigue was stronger than her will. Her limbs trembled, her back was on fire. She sat on an old trunk, and there, in the midst of the imposing silence of the large trees, she cracked. She did not ask for wealth or the return of her husband. She cried out her loneliness to the Creator. She begged to experience, if only once, the joy of being a mother, even if it meant dying alone afterwards. Her blood was flowing against the bark of the trees, a complaint so pure and so deep that it seemed to make the air around her vibrate. It was in this moment of absolute vulnerability, when she thought she had lost everything, that a strange wind rose, bringing with it a smell of fresh moss and ancient life. As Isabella raised her head, she first believed in a hallucination born of exhaustion. In front of her stood a woman of unreal beauty. Her clothes and her hair were of a deep green, reminiscent of the foliage of the oldest trees. It was Sira, the guardian spirit of the forest. She was carrying in her arms 2 infants, whose skin seemed made of milk. One had curls of a sparkling white, the other of the hair of a flamboyant red. Sira explained that she had had Isabella's tears for years, and that she had decided to transform this suffering into life. By placing the babies in Isabella's trembling arms, Sira gave them their names, Charlene and Charlotte. Isabella's joy was indescribable, but it accompanied herself with a solemn warning. These children were not ordinary. Their very essence, their humanity, was linked to their hair. Sira was very clear. Under no pretext, their hair had to be cut. If a single strand fell, the forest would take back what it had given. In addition, a mystery was hovering over their 18th anniversary, an event that Isabella had to prepare without knowing exactly what awaited her. Before disappearing in an emerald glow, the spirit left Isabella with an absolute protection mission. Isabella returned to the village, no longer as an abandoned woman, but as a mother dressed in a divine secret, the beating heart of a new hope. From then on, she was called Mother Isabella. To be continued.